All right, my Bible in 365 brothers and sisters, we have now arrived at the book of 1 Samuel, and oh my goodness, there is so much to talk about in this book. It is one that you undoubtedly are going to want to invest heavily in. Now, I want to simply remind you that if you are looking for a summary of the book, you can very easily go to BIBLEin365 and find the summary that I did for it last year. Also, I will be teaching through the Bible in a 20-week series that I just started a few weeks ago that I'm very excited about, and I will eventually cover 1st and 2nd Samuel together on the same day. So if you're looking for more of a quick, brief summary, you can find it there. But what we are doing here with these new summaries for 2023 is we are choosing to bring things out from the particular book that we're reviewing that will help you make bigger connections for establishing a better understanding of the overall and generalized context of the Bible. Now, 1 Samuel is critical for this because it does a lot for us. First of all, we know that Samuel was the last judge of Israel, and he was a prophet that, in essence, was the one that handed over the rule of Israel to a human king. Of course, it's very important to note that the first human king of Israel was Saul, but the first king of Israel, period, was God. And for those of you that are understanding or really like to get into political infrastructures, 1 Samuel is a great book for you. And one of your first homework assignments will be to identify as many government infrastructures as you can in 1 Samuel. I'm going to give you a hint. You will find at least 2. There are a few more than that. You'll need to take some time to really look into it. And of course, the first couple are very, very obvious, but you're going to want to look into that. And then there's some interesting things in 1 Samuel, some very interesting themes that I'm going to want you to focus on. Number 1, I want you to focus on the idea of dedicating your life to the Lord for service. This is very interesting because it starts with the story of a beautiful woman named Hannah, of course, being the mother of Samuel and understanding the desire for children. And if you are somebody that really has an interest in pro-life ministry, you will find an amazing connection in that issue in and of itself. You're also going to learn a lot about temple practices and the type of practices, and actually in this case, we'd be talking about tabernacle practices, but they eventually lead into temple practices, and you are going to learn about the responsibility of the priest. This is also important for you to establish and to understand. And the one thing that I really need you to do here is to spend a lot of time looking at some of the cities that surrounded the ministry of Samuel, because there were some very important towns where Samuel's sort of judicial and sort of priestly responsibilities resided, okay? Of course, there was Ramah, there was Bethel, or Bethel is what you guys would say, there was Mizpah and Gilgal, and there were other towns as well. And I'll just tell you this right now, there's at least another 6 towns that you should look at, one being the most significant of them all, and that would be Jerusalem or Jerusalem. You want to look into Kirkath Jearim, Shiloh, Bethlehem, Gibeon, Gibeah. Those are all very important towns to look at. You need to spend some time looking into those towns and developing an understanding of what they actually meant and where they are, because if you get those down, you're going to understand biblical geography very, very well, and this will help you establish a lot of things. So study those things. The other thing I want you to look at is the story of how Samuel first heard the voice of God. There will be some interesting things that you are going to learn there. I want you to learn about how the king was first introduced to Israel, the human king, and how that transitioned, which, by the way, is a word I hate using nowadays, but you understand what I mean when I say transition, how it went from one king to another. And we actually deal with 2 transitions in the book of Samuel, right? We deal with one from one king, God, to a human king, Saul, to the next king, which would be David. So there's some very interesting things there, but there are some very important historical moments in 1 Samuel that I also want you to study. One of the things I want you to look into is this, and that is, what happens when somebody chooses to be under the influence of anything other than the will and voice of God. That's going to be another great homework assignment for you to look into. There are a lot of things to go over. This is one of those books that you will want to go over very slowly because it is very important. Now, one other thing, if you want the shortcut sort of cheat sheet way of looking at Samuel, let me give you some names of people that are really important for you to look at, because if you do not spend time looking at these things, you are going to have a very, very, very difficult time establishing sort of the pattern that we see in the Bible later on. So you want to look at Hannah, you want to look at Samuel, you want to look at Eli, you want to look at Eli's sons, which are also very, very important, right? Again, you do not want to allow the book of Samuel to go by the wayside without spending time looking at those characters. You'll want to spend some time with Saul, you'll want to spend some time with David, and you will want to spend some time with relatives of Saul, especially as we begin to establish a pattern for what happens in David's life. It is really critical, and then it is also understanding, or very important for you to understand, Bible prophecy early on in the book of Samuel. If you look at the pattern that God establishes for how he communicated with his prophets, you will have a better time establishing Bible prophecy. This is very loaded. A lot of stuff that's in here. If you want more on these books, of course, you can go to jamescadice.com. You can go to the James Cadice YouTube channel. We've got all kinds of materials, thousands and thousands and thousands of free Bible studies available to you where you can grab all this information. Hopefully you'll be blessed by it. You are in for a great treat. 1 Samuel is an awesome book, and I think you'll be blown away. A lot of homework I just gave you, but really good stuff. And if you allow yourself to sort of be fortified by the hard work now, the rest of the Bible is going to be very easy for you. All right, guys, God bless you.